Hey everybody, Dave here from Tres Studios, and today I wanted to share with you guys about this mung chi. It's like kimchi, except I make it with the mung bean sprouts. And yeah, so I'm just going to share with you guys basically how I did it. It's not a recipe or anything, it's just an idea because we really liked it, and it was a simple thing to make. And I love regular kimchi, but the Napa cabbage, it can be like $7 for one Napa cabbage. And with the mung chi, it's much more affordable because if you grow your own mung bean sprouts, which you could see in my previous video, they're very economical. It costs probably, like 30 cents to grow a batch or something like that. It's pretty cheap. Anyway, like I said, this is not a recipe or anything, but I tell you how I did it. The video did get a little chopped up, and I used like sections of my first batch and my second batch because I lost sections of video. Something happened with the camera, but it gives you an idea of how I did it, and like I said, we liked it. So anyway, if you do want to experiment with fermented foods, I do suggest that you look into it a little more and do so ferment at your own risk. I've been making all kinds of different fermented foods for probably about 10 years and never had anything bad happen to me or never fell ill from it. And my wife has been willing to try everything that I've made so far. And but there are some safety guidelines, as far as wanting to keep food beneath the brine. The salinity, I guess you'd say, the amount of salt that you use so that you prevent bad bacteria, and different things like that. So this, like I said, this is not an all-inclusive instruction on fermentation, just an idea. And for some of you who are already familiar with fermenting, you'll know exactly what to do. Those of you who aren't, it'll give you a good idea and a good place to start exploring. And also you'll see, you get a little glimpse of how to do the mung beans. If you want to look at the other video on how I grew the mung beans in the mason jar, you can see my previous video, which I grew them in a pint jar for that video. But then I moved on to a quart jar, and you really probably want to do the quart jar because they lose so much volume as they ferment that if you start out with 2 cups, you're down to under 1 cup of fermented mung bean sprouts when you're finished. So just keep that in mind. A lot comes down to a very small amount when you're finished. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And if you have any questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Okay guys, so I got these all cleaned up, and those are all the mung beans that we saw in the little jar before, and I just trimmed off all the tails. And now I'm going to add in, I'm going to grate in a couple of cloves of garlic, small cloves of garlic, and then I'm going to put in some cayenne pepper that I grew, hydroponic cayenne pepper. And if you get to the end of the garlic and there's a big chunk there, I just throw in that chunk, it'll be alright. This is an experiment, so it's not so much a recipe, but we'll see how it is together. So I'm going to grab me a hot pepper out of this little basket here. I dry them up in that little basket that hangs by the wood stove, but that's one of my nice cayenne peppers. And I just cut it up with these scissors. Now be careful, you guys, because if you rub your eye or you go to the bathroom or anything after you've touched this, you could be sorry. So wash your hands or wear gloves after you cut this up, okay? And so I just cut it as small as I can, like the littlest, tiniest slices. me see if I can show you guys. Get in there closer. So just tiny little slices. We're almost like cutting up those little seeds, you know. And I like it. I like spicy, but it won't be too spicy because I think the fermentation cuts it down a little bit. But I'm going to say that's probably enough. That's not quite the whole thing. And now I could make a brine to pour over this after we pack it back in the jar. I'm going to go wash the jar that we used, and then we'll mix this back up, mix this all up, and pack it in here. Instead of putting the brine over it, I'm just going to add some salt to this. You want sea salt or Himalayan salt. You don't want salt with iodine or anti-caking agents because they will interfere with the fermentation process. So kosher salt, sea salt, Himalayan salt are okay. Just make sure there's no anti-caking agents or anything in there. It's just salt. And so let me go rinse out my jar. But this is what we got so far in there with the garlic. And I'm going to add some little bit of hot paprika, hot Hungarian paprika. Hey guys, so here it is. And I'm going to pour a little bit of this Hungarian hot paprika in here. Watch this, don't breathe any of this in. And now I could just pack this in the jar, mix it up and pack it in, and pour brine over it. But oftentimes, if you put some salt on your cabbage or your veggies, the salt will pull out the moisture in the vegetables, and that will give you enough to ferment with right there. I got a half a teaspoon of salt here. I'm going to use about half of it, so I'd say about a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. If you go too much salt, you're going to slow down the fermentation. If you go too little salt, then you could, bad bacteria could grow. So this is, now I'm going to mix all this up. And then we'll pack it into the jar. And we'll put that pickle weight back on it. I think I love the red color in my ferment, so I'm going to put a little bit more of this paprika. And hopefully that's enough salt. I may add just a little bit more salt. I don't want to add too much salt. So, and now we'll go back into the jar. And you can really pack this in there. In fact, you want to pack it so that you almost get those juices going. And now, if you don't have the juices covering this ferment by tomorrow morning, then you should make up some brine and pour it over. But my guess is that the salt will pull the juice out of these micros, these sprouts, and we will have coverage by tomorrow morning, probably. So it's not going to make a whole lot, but that's okay. I prefer to make small ferments, small batches often, or have like a ferment that you just keep adding stuff to and taking out the older stuff and adding new stuff, because I think you get a lot more friendly probiotics that way than if you make a big batch and put it in the fridge. You know, it'll preserve it and you can eat it for months, but I don't think there's as much healthy bacteria that way. Sorry, I don't have the camera angled rightly, guys. But basically, there you go right there. So that's our mung bean sprouts now ready to ferment. And we'll come back and take a look at those. I'll show you guys tomorrow morning if they're covered with brine or not. And now you can just put a loose cap on this. You don't want to cap it tight because there's going to be pressure building up. If you cap it tight, you can cap it tight and then just loosen it twice a day and you'll be all right. So we'll come back and take a look at this after about overnight, by 24 hours. If it hasn't, the brine hasn't covered it, then we should add some brine. Okay, so we'll come back and take a look at this then, and then we'll come back when it's all done and we'll do a taste test. So that's what the fermented mung beans look like after they've been in the container for approximately 3 days. And looks pretty good. It smells pretty good. So we're going to give it a try. Okay guys, I've got the sandwiches all made. My wife is bravely going to try this fermented stuff. This is what the sandwich looks like. And I'm going to try it. My lovely wife Anne Marie, and she's going to try the fermented mung bean mung chi, I guess we'll call it. So let us know what you think, hon.
I will. I'm looking forward to eating my mung chi. This is absolutely delicious, and I vote for this. I want to make this as often as possible. Dave makes a lot of nice sauces and things, and I can just see this being chopped up and put inside sauces, anything. But it's wonderful and spicy, so thank you again.
You're welcome, hon. So we like the mung bean, fermented mung bean, or mung chi. I'm calling it mung chi. So much that we decided to make some more. So I grew, the first time I grew just a pint, but this time I grew a quart, and as you can see there's a little bit more than a quart because they're coming right out of here. And my wife has volunteered to clean these all up for me, and then I'll go through the process of making these into fermented mung chi. So that's it for today, folks. A little bit of an explanation about how I did the mung chi, and I hope you're all doing well and have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Take care.